to the Olympic Velodrome, a superb setting for the 23rd World Gymnastics Championships. 400 competitors from 41 nations have made the pilgrimage to Montreal, and their endeavours will be reflected in our very comprehensive and indeed exclusive coverage over the next 6 days. With the boycott of the '84 Olympics by the Soviet Union and most of their satellites, these championships have taken on a very special significance because all the top nations are competing here. Now, the choice of Montreal is a very interesting one because it's only the second time that these World Championships have been taken out of Europe. And, of course, this city did host the 1976 Olympic Games. Indeed, the citizens of Montreal are still settling the enormous debt incurred by those Olympics. And, would you believe, the complex is only now nearing absolute completion. 1987 should see the work done. In this ultra-modern velodrome, the cycling Olympic medals were contested, but this week, the elite of the world's gymnasts bring their skills to the arena in search of world titles. Montreal is Canada's most colourful metropolis. It's the pearl of the French-speaking province of Quebec.
In the early 50s, the Russians entered the world sporting arena for the first time since the revolution. And in 1956, they gave gymnastics its first real international superstar, Larissa Latinina. When she retired in 1966, she had won 24 Olympic, world and European titles. She was succeeded by the lovely Vera Cheslavska from Czechoslovakia. Her Mexican hat dance floor routine in the Mexico Olympics gave her the individual gold medal for the second time. Cheslavska was considered way ahead of her time, but forecast that her movements would be surpassed by the gymnasts of the future. How right she was, and it happened sooner than she thought. In 1972, Olga Korbut literally changed the shape of women's gymnastics. Although she was 17 years old, she looked like a waif, but she introduced acrobatic elements which many thought impossible for a woman. The all-round title, but she inspired millions of girls around the world to take up the sport. Women gymnasts were getting younger, a trend that was confirmed when Nadia Comaneci, a 14-year-old Romanian girl, won the European Championships in 1975. A year later, she defeated Korbut, Lyudmila Teresheva, the defending champion, and a new Russian star, Nelly Kim, to take the Olympic title here in Montreal. She also created her own unique place in history by scoring a perfect 10 for the first time in Olympic competition. Also in Montreal last year, but the Soviets and most of the other Eastern Bloc countries stayed away. That left the way open for the American Mary Lou Retton to cast her spell on the Games.
So bringing things up to date there, the American heroine of the '84 Olympics, Mary Lou Retton. And since that in a second, who are the other individuals that might be pushing them for medals?
Oh, well, there are odd individuals in the Czechoslovakian team. There's Hanna Rickner and, of course, the great Katie Sabo from Romania. You know, she's never really won a big one yet, and she'll be hungry for this title. But I think she'll have to do some hard work. And then there's Diana Dereva from Bulgaria. There are the odd individuals who will push the Russians, but I can't see them getting there.
Tell us about the Russians individually, then.
Oh, there are so many of them. Elena Shushinova, who won the European title and really knocked spots off Yurchenko, who dropped down to 10th place. And then there's Oksana Omolenchik and little Baraksanova. There are really some superb talents in that team.
But what about Yurchenko?
Well, Yurchenko has had some difficulty in training. She's really found it hard. Rodionenko has been working her extremely hard. But she came back, you know, at the World Student Games, and she won. So I think that the Russians are hoping that she might hold it, and Shushinova's coach is on the podium, and Shushinova is going to push her really hard.
Well, at the opening ceremony, over 400 competitors marched into the velodrome, each one determined, of course, to push themselves all the way to their own best performances. Yurchenko and the rest of the formidable Russian squad looked ready for the business of winning medals. Not for them the blazers and the coordinated fashion look favored by some other countries, including the Chinese. 17-year-old reserve James May led in the British boys and girls, looking very trim and relaxed. Carrying the flag for Canada was their bespectacled national champion Philippe Chartrand, a great favorite in his home province of Quebec. They were enthusiastically received by a velodrome audience of over 5,000. The flags of the 40 nations were sensibly the only sign of nationalism in what was a warm and relaxed setting.
There, Lisa Young from Great Britain, the Britons on the vault and as their first rotation in these compulsory exercises.
Not too tidy, but the judges really are looking out for an extension out of the vault. Lisa didn't quite manage to get that, but it was a sound vault and scoring 9.1. That's a good start.
And Sally Lana, that right angle strapped. She's had troubles with it all week. The physio's been working on it. How's it going to stand up now in competition?
A very nice extension out of the vault, but obviously the ankle giving a tremendous amount of pain on the landing. And poor Sally is rather a panicker. I'm sure she will recover, but it's obviously hurting. And Colin Still, team coach, going in there to console her. It's too late to put in a reserve. Sally started the competition. There we see it again, just the jar on landing, but a good vault. And the score says so, 9.275.
Little Stephanie Micklem in her first big championship. She started very solidly on vault. Must have encouraged her a great deal. It's a tremendously nerve-wracking experience for these youngsters, 15 years old, coming into this huge arena.
And really going through this routine very, very consistently. No panic, taking her time. A really cool competitor for her first big event. And 8.9, that's the top score on bars so far from the British.
Wang Chun from China, the leading Chinese girl so far in the competition. She scored 9.625 on floor, 9.725 on the bars. And that's a lovely vault, too.
The Chinese, a particularly strong team, ranked 5th in the world in the last championships, but really being weak on vault. But this year, this is their strength. Just look at that height. Beautiful extension. An absolutely excellent vault there. 9.8. What a score.
Well, here we are, the defending world champion on vault, Natalia Yurchenko, beautifully elegant gymnast, and that was elegance personified. Really got the tuck position and then extended it beautifully into the landing, kicking out there. And a score, 9.8.
And Elena Shushinova from the Soviet Union, she's the gymnast hard on Yurchenko's heels, already the European champion this year. And just look at that. That was a super vault, although we saw a better one in warmer. That was really excellent. 9.875, the top score on vault so far from Shushinova. And here she is to the asymmetric bars. Really, oh dear, she's challenging Yurchenko. Obviously nerves getting the better of her. She looks rather pale. Really has to concentrate again to start.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen that before. A false start. Oh, and that's worse than a false start. Now, that must have been a mental block. She's done this exercise 1,000 times. Oh, and her concentration has gone absolutely.
And she's blown it. There is just no way that she can get back into that chase for the world title now. She was really hoping to get into the top 3. And there's Rodionenko talking to somebody else, pretending to talk to somebody else, and obviously letting Shishinova think what he thinks.
Well, that really is unbelievable that one of the great Russians should make such an elementary mistake. Something wrong right from the start with her concentration. A false start, and then that's 2 falls, which means she's already lost at least 0.5. And I think she's probably lost an element there in the middle of it, too. And she, we think, was the person the Russians were putting up as their #1, the European champion, really makes a mess of her set exercises on the asymmetric bars.
And here we see that drastic mount again. She missed with one hand, missed the bottom bar, and she doesn't know what's happened. And just look at the score, 8.725. The Russian camp is alarmed.
Natalia Yurchenko onto the asymmetric bars, needs all her composure. The world champion actually probably feeling the heat's off her a little bit now that the European champion has made a bad mistake, and she's going absolutely beautifully at the moment.
That was just exquisite. If she keeps this going, she's sure of a very high score, and we might even see a 10. But she's lost it. Oh, and just the crowd roars there. Rodionenko's pacing around in the background. She has to repeat the dismount. But possibly her title chance has gone, and who knows, the Russians could lose their lead.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen Russians make mistakes like this. It's the one country that you don't expect to make them. They're so used to it, but look, she takes that too far over, and I mean, that's quite incredible. One of these 2 scores has got to count. 9.4. The Russians not had a 9.4 counting before, and Rodionenko, the Russian coach, looks so blank.
And Oksana Omalenchik, a real little chick of the Russian team, she has everything to do. A really dejected Russian camp, but she has to be positive, and what a piece of apparatus to go on to after a disaster. This really is a test of their nerves. A really beautiful little gymnast, and of course this is the set exercise, showing the same movements. All of the gymnasts are doing the same routines, but what the judges are looking for is just how well these movements of simplicity can be performed.
Well, the mood in that Russian team still affected totally by those 2 disastrous errors on the asymmetric bars. Not totally disastrous in terms of their team standing, because they've been so good on the other pieces that they're not far behind, but they must have a very, very good beam. Omalenchik doing it wonderfully for them. Might bring a smile back to Rodionenko's face.
Yes, only 15 years old, 3rd in the European Championships, and possibly, who knows, she sees her chance of fame. Just look at that routine. Superb. Little Oksana Omalenchik. And 9.9, the highest mark on beam so far.
Now Yurchenko, a supreme gymnast, but this a test that she's probably not faced in competition before. I don't remember her coming off, and particularly not in set exercises, making even a big mistake.
Well, I have seen her make mistakes, but she's never made a recovery before now, because the mistake has generally been due to an injury rather than a failed move. So this is a new situation for the world champion. Most gymnasts know what it is to have to climb back on after errors, but the Russians make so few that they don't experience that feeling very often.
A group of Japanese behind, waving their support to their competitor on another part of the podium, must all help to make it more difficult for Yurchenko to concentrate on that beam.
2/3 of the way through the exercise, and she's going extremely smoothly. One wonders just what is going through her mind at this moment. I bet she can't wait to get off that beam.
But so far, it's very good, and that says an awful lot for her character, and a beautiful half twist front somersault there. Finishes it.
And 9.950, what a recovery there from Yurchenko. And now to Katie Sabo from Romania.
Well, here's a young lady who must be licking her lips. The team competition might be beyond Romania, but she knows that these marks in this stage of the competition go through with the gymnasts all week. And she now sees the chances of a gold medal greatly enhanced with Shushenova and Yurchenko both having made major mistakes.
And of course, the World Championship is something that has eluded Katerina Sabo for some time. A very, very seasoned competitor. Second in the Olympic Games, but of course, the best performer at the Olympic Games, being the winner of 3 individual gold medals. The Romanians actually working to taped music, recorded music to their pace, where the Russians, in actual fact, have even brought their own pianist. A very sound and controlled performance there from Katie Sabo from Romania.
And there it is, 9.775, good solid scoring from her. Now little Elena Shushenova has got to pick her competition up off the ground. It's in tatters at the moment.
Rodionenko, the Russian team coach, a highly respected man in the Soviet Union. He really does discipline these girls, but he's hardly watching her routine. See him in the background there. He's really not interested. And what she has to do in this competition is try and regain his confidence.
Yes, it's quite remarkable, isn't it? That's the coach pacing around in the background, looking straight down at the vault at the moment. He's probably so lost in his own thoughts and worries that he really just is showing his disgust with his own gymnasts. It's the way they work. But Shushenova going very well. He's terrified because, of course, in the first person who went up on this piece of apparatus, Shenikova, fell as well on this piece. So his other 5 have got to be almost perfect. If he gets another fall, he really is in trouble.
And up to the end, well, a safe routine. So Rodionenko, you can look now, she's off and safely, and a very well executed routine too.
And a hug there from the coach, the Russians showing emotion, something they don't often do. And there's the score, 9.9.
And Olga Mostopanova, the reigning world champion on beam. She's up last, so obviously the Russians are hoping that she could perhaps perform the ultimate. A superb beam worker.
It's been an amazing comeback by the Russians. If Mostopanova does stay on and puts in a good performance, their series of marks are incredible. They can get rid of the Shenikova fall and everything else above 9.9.
This is what the judges are looking for in these set exercises. notice the demonstration of the split position. Well, they just couldn't go wider. Every toe is stretched, every knee is stretched. Just look at that. That movement called a tick-tock. Legs like the pointers of a clock.
Well, it's usually putting the kiss of death on somebody to even forecast a 10, but we just had a 9.975, and this looks better to me, Monica.
Yes, I'm very nervous, actually. Well, that was superb, and if that's not a 10, I really don't know what the judges want. The Russian camp looks delighted. For a change, they really seem to have come out of their gloom, so let's just wait and see. Titania there giving Olga a hug, and all of the rest of the team congratulating her.
Yes, that's really lifted them. Look what that's done for the spirits. One very happy Russian girl at least. And there it is, it's a 10. Our second 10 of the competition. 10 for Moskva.
And that's just a look of what they look like when they are happy, isn't it? Nice to see.
Well, what an extraordinary end to our opening program. The young girl that so many experts have tipped as the next world champion, Elena Chuchinova, completely blowing her chances of taking that title. But then the Russian girls fighting back with great courage and nerves of steel to lead the team event. Behind them in second place, the Romanians. Then in third place, the East Germans. Fourth,
and that's a much better vault. Her first vault she sat down on, only 8.825. She must have been very, very worried about that one.
And there we see the lift off the top of the horse into the Sukahara after a very fast run. A much better vault there. And the score indicates 9.3.
Hayley Price, the British champion. She's about to vault. She's not had a good competition, but she's a good vaulter. And they're doing the full-on, full-off.
The most important part of the vault is gathering the speed down the runway and hitting the board in the correct place. A nice full twist on, slightly off center at the side of the horse. Doesn't look too pleased with it, but the score's not too bad, 9.375.
Jackie McCarthy to vault. The vault, one of her specialist pieces. Real power, this little girl. Oh, and sat down terribly, got all the power in the wrong direction there. Full twisting Sukahara she's going for, but fortunately in the women's competition, she does get a second vault.
Let's have a look and see what went wrong there. Oh, I just think she was rushing to get her feet in fact, too anxious to get to the floor, and that caused the over-rotation on the landing.
Now has to compose herself. Forget that one. It's always a much happier gymnast who knows that they've got one in the bag and a decent mark, whatever happens. It means they can really go for the second vault. Just there, going through the actions that she'll need as she hits for 8.975 the score.
This is where Jackie's competitive temperament really comes into being. She is a good competitor. We all have faith in her. There she goes, a super vault. She has actually scored 10 on that vault in Great Britain, but we don't hope for that standard here. We're looking for a good score in the high 9s. Look at the power down the runway. A very powerful girl. Lots of punch into the half twist. Not a very high lift, but certainly a secure vault. Score 9.65. That's an excellent score there for Jackie. And Lisa Elliott to the asymmetric bars. Lisa came into the team as a reserve originally when Kathy Williams was injured. So she came in not really well prepared, but she's an excellent gymnast, only 15 years old. And that was a really super routine, no mistakes, not a lot of difficulty, but very thorough.
Been a marvellous competition for Lisa. She was second top scorer on the British team. There's that dismount, the shoot front somersault. She'll remember her first World Championships with pride. I'm sure it won't be her last World Championships. A great prospect, 9.125 from her.
And British asymmetric bar champion Lisa Young. Lisa's 19 and she's had plenty of experience in World and Olympic Championships. A new move there for Lisa, a giant into a ginga. The girls following the men's high bar traits, doing release and catch moves more and more these days. Dismount, and that was certainly a very good routine there from Lisa.
There's that ginga somersault. Doesn't get a lot of height on it, but landed it very securely. A 9.125 for her.
British champion Hayley Price really trying to make amends in this competition. Had a very poor start in the set exercises, especially on this piece. And she's done it again, falling from the apparatus, a certain 0.5 loss to her score.
Never really got going here in Montreal. Disappointing for Hayley because this certainly her last World Championships. She's thinking of retiring after the championships are over. Shoot front to finish with. But I'm afraid that's not going to be a very high score, and of course it's a team event. 5 out of 6 counting. So that's a disappointment for Colin Still there, the national coach. She goes into that Jaeger somersault from Eagle. Good to see her going for it. But there's the mark, 8.475.
Now the girls onto their third rotation. Sally Lana just ready for beam. There's a flag in the audience, the good old British supporters. Sally is injured. She's had to just present herself at vault, which she is allowed to do. And now she really is just going on there to keep the British team in the competition.
Sally came out with an injured ankle. They hoped that it would get better in training, but of course she had to do plenty more training once she arrived. And unfortunately, the injury worsened. So great pressure on the rest of the team. If she just presents herself, she of course scores naught, and that means the other 5 have got to count, mistakes or not. And presumably, Monica, she won't go on the floor either.
I wouldn't think so, but as a tactical move, being the bogey of all the girls in competition, particularly in a World Championship, it does leave a little margin for error. But you can see that ankle, she's really bearing weight on the left to try and preserve it. That her injured ankle isn't in fact her jumping leg on beam, and this is why she's able to complete the majority of her exercise.
Well, so far so good. A couple of major wobbles. There you see that wouldn't normally be her dismount, but a simple inwards back somersault to finish with there. And Colin Still says, thanks very much, you've done your job for the team.
just see the foot. She's having to drop flat on the heel. She can't really take any absorbance in the ankle. Again, favouring that foot. Very, very clever. And she was very, very brave and did very, very well to score 8.725.
Jackie McCarthy to the beam. Oh, well, that's one crisis point over. That difficult dismount, and everything I've seen before come to grief right at that moment.
The girls have, in actual fact, set themselves a good standard on beam, because in the set exercises, all of them stayed on beam, and I think that's pretty well making history for British gymnasts. So now they're all aiming to stay on in their voluntary exercise, and Jackie's doing a good job there, staying on in that flick straight back. Difficult element. Gymnastic and acrobatic elements punctuated by dance series. Going into a planche, whether she'd actually get scored for that, she didn't seem to hold it quite long enough. Now for the big dismount. Arab spring double back, and it was a very good one. What an excellent effort there from Jackie McCarthy.
Here we got a chance to see that again. Good lift, and into the double somersault, and the score's just come up, 9.2 for her. Stephanie Micklem, 15 years old, onto the beam. And she's had a marvellous competition. Lisa Elliott and Stephanie Micklem, our two 15-year-olds, have both acquitted themselves really well here in Montreal. Augurs well for the future.
Yes, Stephanie's first appearance on the senior international circuit is here at the pre-World Championships in Montreal. So she's the one gymnast in the team who's had the advantage of having been to Montreal. But of course, she only just got through to the team by qualifying in second position at the final trial. So I think Colin Still was very brave to put her into the team, and she's really proving her worth.
Well, they're a very big wobble, but she held it really well, and that makes a difference of at least 0.2. They'd have had to dock her 0.5, and she'll probably only lose 0.3 for that.
Arab spring, double twisting back somersault. That's a D dismount, a very difficult dismount for Stephanie at 15. A second look. Cartwheel joining the 2 feet together on the beam, which is only 4 inches wide, and 2 twists in 1 somersault to land. And there's the score, 9.025.
Well, Jackie McCarthy to the floor. The reason these scores of 0.25 and 7.25 are coming up, there are now 6 women's judges, and the middle 4 marks are average. It makes it very complicated, but it does give a much fairer overall mark. Oh, and Jackie lands a big first tumble really well. That's a full in, back out, a full twist in the first somersault. Really strong to perform that sort of tumble.
Double twist in the middle tumble, a bad step out, and she'll lose 2/10 for that landing.
But Jackie really has had a super voluntary competition. Some people thought that perhaps she shouldn't be in the team because her set exercise is not so good, but she was our third girl in them as well. And now all these powerful tumbling elements really helping her, and there another double back to finish with.
Well done, Jackie. Her strength most certainly in her tumbling. The dance she never has liked much, but she made a jolly good job of that floor routine. And I think that Colin Still and Yvonne were pleased with that. Look at this first tumble. Look at the power she gets as she goes into the Arab Spring flick-flack, up into the first somersault with a full twist, tucks into the second somersault rather untidily, but nevertheless gets their feet first.
And there's her score, 9.3. And Hayley Price, British champion, has not had a good competition. She'll want to finish well, and that's a nice start. Double tuck back somersault.
There with an Arabian and a full twisting somersault in a pucked shape. Tumble to go, a double twist just landing short, a deduction on landing, but that doesn't matter. A really well executed routine from Hayley. If the British girls keep going like this, they'll hold on to their 17th place or possibly do better.
Jackie McCarthy there, obviously talking a point of technique. Now a chance to have a look at the tumbling run again. There it is, that first double back somersault. Really got over well there.
This is the last tumble. This is when the gymnasts are tired, and you can see her just lose her legs, but she was very clever not to fall over them. Obviously looking tired and waiting for her score. There it is, 9.2. The girls are really doing well.
And Lisa Elliott to finish the competition for Great Britain. And whatever the disappointments the British team have suffered during these championships, she's certainly not been one of them. Look at that. 15-year-old girl and performing a full in back out somersault with no trouble at all. If she can get through this exercise really well, she's going to come out as the second top scorer for the British team, and that's marvellous in your first championship, isn't it, Monica?
Oh yes, she really has some tough stuff in here. As she matures and develops the choreography and the routine, she will be a very good floor worker. Another double back.
Elements not really matching the difficulty of her tumbles.
No, they do show an amount of maturity, but that's something that can be developed at the 15-plus stage, but the tumbles need to be learned by this stage. A beautiful, tight double twisting back somersault. A very good routine, and I think the British girls and the British team ought to be really proud of themselves.
Here we see that full-in back-out somersault that she started with. Put the foot back on landing, but very good balance. British team leaving the arena, and what a fillip that is. There's a score, 9.55. The Chinese women not as strong as the Chinese men. After the set exercises, they're in 7th position. We'll see if they can pull up in the voluntaries. This is Huang Chun, their 3rd-ranked girl. Very elegant gymnast.
On the last movement, especially the middle tumble, demanding a lot of stamina.
Chinese, we know, we were speaking to their coaches before the competition, have been working very hard on their strength. They tended to be very good on beam and A-bars, but weak on the floor and weak on the vault. And they really do seem to have improved, Monica.
Yes, their tumbling power has improved. Still need quite a lot more polish, though, to go with. That's an indication of the lack in polish, the finishing on big tumbles. She stepped out of the floor area and she lose at least 0.1 for that. A very bad finish there from Huang Chun.
Great pity. They seem to be almost at the same stage as their men were a few years ago. In this competition, we've seen Tong Fai and Li Ning finishing with careful double back somersaults. That for them would be an easy one. And there she's paid the penalty, 9.35.
For America, Tracy Kalor. Americans coming in after the compulsories in 6th place. This is their voluntary vault. The full twisting Sukahara. A very nice vault there from Tracy. She's not a very experienced gymnast, her first major international championship.
Don Peters there, the American coach. Chance to see that vault again. This 16-year-old American girl gets good speed, the full twisting Sukahara, but not too much height off the horse. But a very good mark, 9.775.
Anna Rischner, Czechoslovakian's most famous international gymnast. So far has had an excellent competition, scoring in the high 9s and everything. But that's going to put paid to her chances. She came into the competition 14th as an individual. A bad fall there, at least 0.5 down on her score. And that is a really cute move and tremendous shoulder control. These girls do recover extremely well after a fall.
And a double twist there to finish with.
Handstand pirouette with box split. Disappointed with this performance because she was hoping to get high up in the top 6. She was 4th in the European Championships on floor.
Well, a beautifully constructed exercise, but badly executed, falling on that opening tumble.
And here we'll have a look and see where this tumble goes wrong. There's the flick-flap. But she takes the twist straight from the floor, totally lacking in somersault, and can't complete the move, and comes down to forward roll. And that is a fall, a loss of 0.5.
Yes, the old adage, very true. You've got to go up, whether you're twisting or not. You've got to get up to do the somersault first. But here's some of that beautiful dance. She's a very elegant gymnast. Some of them are just tumblers, but she really has a good all-round exercise when it goes right. But there it is, down at 9.075.
America's Jennifer Say. Another inexperienced gymnast. The Americans came into the competition in 6th after the compulsories. That's higher than they finished in the World Championships in '83. So they'll hope to hold on to that. Oh, and there's a nasty tumble, and she looks badly hurt. Can't see quite what happened there, John.
Very nasty. Came backwards over this Jaeger. Sorry, she's going for a catch-up. This leap back over the bar and catches that right leg. Oh, my goodness. Seeing it again slowly, that is a dreadful, dreadful. Oh, it's our own body weight coming down there when the leg was totally out of position. I'm afraid that is going to be very serious. It just brings home to you just how dangerous these moves are. They look so elegant when they're performed well, but they're a 16-year-old really pushing herself to the limit, and I fear paying the penalty.
And Sabrina Ma having to follow, and she's repeated that move safely. She must have had a little bit of a worry after seeing her teammate go down with such a tumble, but she really is going strongly. Supposed to be Mary Lou Retton's successor. That was a lovely routine, and it took an awful lot of courage to follow that.
15-year-old Sabrina Ma. There, the Stolder circle around the top bar, and there the catch of, this time she gets it right. And there, a little bit of good team spirit. 9.625 Sabrina Ma's score.
The lovely Irina Baraksanova from the Soviet Union. This little girl from Tashkent. She has her coach with her on this podium. That was a beautiful vault, a Yurchenko straight.
Baraksanova, 16 years old. A real impish little gymnast. Beautiful shape there as she comes over on that straight, and there it is, 9.8 the score. Now, of course, the girls have 2 vaults, and with that securely in the bag, she can go for, really go for broke. In fact, looking at the indicator, she's changed her vault. Yes, that's a very clever bit of tactics, Monica.
Oh yes, a good straight one under her belt, and then just pop the twist in. Let's have a look at it. The Arabs spring onto the board, a lovely shallow flight to the horse, and a nice crisp twist.
There, that indicator in the background, and 9.875 the score. It worked.
Emelianchik. The Russians really have come into this competition with a vengeance. After their mistakes in the compulsory exercises, they're not going to make any mistakes in the voluntaries. Just look at the determination on this little girl's face. And that's how you land a vault. And 9.9, the score proves it.
The great Katie Szabo from Romania to the A-bars. this a very, very important competition for her. She's never won one of the major championships. She was a junior European champion. And it looked as if she was falling out of things when she dropped back in the European Championships, but she's come back here with a vengeance. All right, beautiful 360 pirouette on the low bar. Building to a dismount and a double twist off, just one step forward. There's the score, 9.825.
Very attractive girl here, Dagmar Kirsten from East Germany. Celebrated her 15th birthday on the day she arrived at this championship. East Germans in third position. They're hoping to hold on to the bronze medal position. And that was a beautiful series of flick-flack, straight back.
Going very, very steadily. And I always feel the beam is the most difficult, not just because it's only 4 inches wide, but you're up there a meter above the floor, and it's a slow exercise. And there's all the distractions you can see there. It's the Bulgarian girls in the background, all applauding their own person. You're conscious of the audience. You really are stuck up there. Every distraction that there could possibly be around you, and you've got to concentrate your way through the exercise. Kirsten, at the moment, doing it magnificently.
Oh, and she did a lovely double back on the end. A lovely routine there from Dagmar Kirsten, coached by the same trainer as Maxi Gnaut. Jürgen Heritz. There's the double back, a little bit short, actually. She'll lose marks on the dismount, but 9.8, a very, very good score.
Boriana Stoyanova from Bulgaria. The Bulgarians really charged through to come in here in 4th place and look very, very good in practice. But they've faltered a bit here in their voluntary exercises. Looking to the experience of Stoyanova to give them a lead here on the floor.
Interpretation to the music. Stoyanova, I can always tell because she never wears a long sleeve leotard. All her teammates wear long sleeve leotards, but she always has hers rolled up to the elbow. She obviously doesn't like things around her wrists. On the choreography of the floor exercises. The tumbles are still as good, but the choreography certainly has improved.
There, a really well-landed double back to finish with 9.7 for her. Waiting now to go on to the A-bars. Natalia Yurchenko, the defending champion, of course, had a disaster on this piece in the set exercises. Fell. But they're going straight into 2 release and catch moves.
Yes, I think she came onto the podium intent to murder this routine unmercifully. That was certainly some routine. Brilliant at its best.
Chance here to see, there's the Kachev, and straight into the Delchev somersault. Beautiful combination there. Yurchenko fighting her way back. She only scored 9.5, which was a big blow to her. There, 9.95 her score.
There's Jackie McCarthy and Lisa Elliott in the audience, relaxing after their competition, sitting next to Alexander Alexandrov, the Russian coach. And Katie Szabo now. Being a daunting piece of apparatus, especially when you're hoping to get into the lead in a major championship, the major championship of the world.
She made no mistakes in her set exercises, so on the individual side, although the Romanians, I don't think, have a hope of catching the Russians in the team competition, she's very well set. It's difficult to keep the calculations going with so many pieces of apparatus and so many gymnasts going all around you, but I would think she is probably the leading individual at the moment. Slipped down to 5th place in the European Championships, but she's really come back here very determined. I think she would retire very, very content if she could win the individual World Championship. Hasn't won a major event. She's been 2nd and 3rd so many times.
Certainly a positive routine and a superb dismount. Madame Simonescu from Romania, actually master judge on that piece of apparatus.
There's that dismount. Yes, and Britain's Meg Warren also judging on that piece of apparatus. I don't think I'd fancy a confrontation with Simonescu. She always seems to get involved in arguments. 9.95 for Szabo.
And world champion on the beam, Olga Mostafanova, and actually leader coming into this team championship. Lovely handstand, double pirouette there to start. Her unique dive Tinska backwards, but quite a hefty wobble at the end of that series. Tremendous amount of noise in the background. The Romanians on floor, and she's really having whoops, and that was a near fall. At least 0.3 for that wobble.
Good finish for her, but definitely 2 major errors in that exercise, and she is the reigning beam champion. And these scores go with her through the week, so that's a real blow to her. Let's have a look at this slow-mo again of the finish. That bit of it was fine. Good double somersault. 9.625, as we thought.
And this tiny little girl is 15 years old, believe it or not. She's Daniela Silvas from Romania. A very strong contender for a medal in the individual events, I would think. Really doing a grand job for the Romanian team. Pulling back out tight. You wouldn't think she was big enough to have that kind of power. make certain of that.
The crowd loving this exercise. Very cleverly constructed. She's never going to be elegant. She's too short for that, but bouncy, chirpy, exactly as she comes across to the audience. And what a finish for her.
And that was a really cleverly choreographed routine, just to suit her pert little appearance. Very cute indeed, and the audience really going wild about that.
There we can see that little dance routine. All angular and bouncy. And 9.875, the crowd did their best to make it a 10, but it really wasn't worth that.
And in contrast, the elegant Natalia Yurchenko. Rather a solemn girl, and I would imagine extremely shy.
This, the Russians' last piece of apparatus, lovely full-in back out there to start. Yurchenko has really come back, had an immaculate competition. There we are, 2 tumbling runs in the first 25 seconds of the exercise, full-in back out, double tuck back.
So important as we see the total contrast in styles between Silovak and Yurchenko.
Double back somersault finishes her exercise. Beautiful. She's certainly my favorite gymnast, and she's come back so well, the mark of a real champion. That fall on the A-bars in the sets would have upset a lesser person.
And even taller girls can tumble too. We can't exactly call her tall, she's only 5'2". There it is, 2 somersaults and 1 twist. Landed very safely, and there's the score, 9.925.
Katie Szabo from a town called Sargon. The vault, her final piece of apparatus. Full twisting, Sukahara, lands it absolutely solidly.
Just seen Mostapanova make mistakes on beam, and Szabo perform an excellent vault, so that could take Szabo to the top of the ladder in this individual side of the team championship. Let's have a look at the vault. Arab spring onto the board. Yes, a lovely Yurchenko there.
Yes, it was a Yurchenko. 9.9.
On the engine.
The Russians have been very clever here. Her coach, Titania Perskaya, on the podium with her. And that helps when you're just 15 years old.
Beautiful posture in those jumps. She doesn't drop her head or shoulders at all. That was clever. Not just one, just look at this, judges. 2 in a row.
She's amazing, the way she lands the big tumble, the double pipe back there, and then goes on to put more with it. What a face. 16 years old on New Year's Eve she'll be. Marvellous exercise from Omelianchik.
She looked as though she had enjoyed that exercise as much as we did. Now just look at this tumble. She moves along the floor after completing one with a full twisting dive roll, a man's move. And then continues with that superb jump. She just doesn't tire.
And there it is, it's a 10. They've had to give a 10. Omelianchik, the perfect 10. Look at her, she can hardly believe it.
And from the brilliance of Omelianchik to Shushanova, European champion.
She, of course, had a very bad time on the A-bars in the set. Lovely double straight back to start there. And the Russians been very clever. They've put her coach, Gavrichenko, up on the podium with her. And the senior coach, Rodionenko, has actually taken a position outside the arena because they can only have 2 coaches on the podium. They thought it would give her more confidence.
Again, fabulous interpretation to the music. And just look at that super tumble. Just non-stop. The stamina these girls have is amazing, and what a finish from that double back.
Another beautiful, beautiful exercise. The Russians have really pushed their advantage home. They made mistakes in the sets, but they've had a wonderful, wonderful voluntary competition.
And it's really so nice to see them so happy. They were so upset after the compulsory exercises. That side, 1 3/4 somersault to roll, into the flick-flack. It was really lovely. And look at the score, another 10. Well, the crowd are delighted. What a lovely finish to the competition.
And there, the medal ceremony. The Russians way ahead in first place. A delighted team. Yurchenko having a few words through the anthem. Now the smiles. The Romanian second. And the East Germans, the young East German team, in third place. Confirmation there.